Hello, I'm Nan Simonson, author of, I always start this way, Aging Powerfully. I am just a few days away from celebrating my 71st birthday. Today is Tuesday. On Sunday, I celebrated turning 71. And the day before that, I celebrated by running my second 10K run. That's 6.2 miles. Actually, I ran 6.39, so a little less than 6.5. And I was number 2 in my division. What is my division? Those of us who are 70 to 74. And if I take you back just a bit, I would take you back, and some of you already know this, I would take you back to July of last year. This is 2022. In July of 2021, I saw a announcement that our historical Mission Inn was back to doing a run rather than a virtual run, a 5K, 10K, and half marathon. I thought, I'm going to run a 10K. And I signed up, and then I had to do it because I told people I was going to do it, and I decided I was going to do it, and I set out to learn how to do it. And I ran it, and I was fourth in my division. And that was in October. And I then signed up for the next run coming up, and that was this last Saturday. And I was number 2 in my division, and I'm getting faster. Well, I've already signed up for October 23rd of 2022 back at the Mission Inn, and this time I'm going to do a half marathon. So I've got some time to prepare and add the miles and get faster and be a better runner, and I'm actually really excited about that. So that all leads to a theme, and I'm going to take you back again before I talk to what that theme is. And if I walk you back in time, about, was it 12 months ago or 11 months ago? How do we count January to January? I did a podcast, and it was the celebration of my 70th birthday. And that was huge because the July before that, see, I guess I do things half year. Um, Revelations come to me 6 months prior to events, maybe, I don't know. But in July of what that would have been 2020, I decided to take a class on writing a book. It's called Writing Your Dream Book. And I took the class, I wrote the book, and it was published in December of that year. And I was one of the 3 authors of choice. At the end of the course, we all put in our manuscripts, those of us who had actually written them, my published book actually. And I was one of the 3 that they chose as one of the writers of choice, and that was kind of cool. The point being that last January I did a birthday celebration on online. It was about 45 minutes, and I listened to that again and was taken by how complete it was in terms of where I was, how I had gotten there, and where I wanted to go in the future. And a little encapsulation of that is that I outlined the books and the people who had inspired me. Caldwell Esselstyn, and in preventing and reversing heart disease, T. Colin Campbell in the China study. He was the one who documented the damage that animal protein has on either generating or reducing the generation of cancer cells in the human body. And he did that back in, oh gosh, 1970s. And it should have stopped us in our tracks as it relates to the way Americans eat. But of course it didn't. There's way too much money involved. And quite frankly, it's been 4 years now since I went plant-based. Well, I'm in my 4th year of whole food plant-based, and it didn't stop me back then either, so I didn't even know about it. But I went through all of the people, including Dan Buettner, for example, and his blue zones. And I outlined not only who they were, but what the evidence showed about the importance of plant foods, plant proteins, plant fiber, phyto, meaning plant nutrients, phytochemicals, and what they do to our body. Well, I was coming from a place of experience because before I went plant-based, I was starting to fall through that dark hole of health that a lot of Americans do. And this was, remember, 6 months? No, that was actually in the fall of 18. So I was, whatever I was, 67, 68 years old. And every doctor wanted to medicate it away, which meant truly a black hole, because every medication will develop additional symptoms in another way that tends to need to be medicated. And I said no to every one of them. I was going to do it with food. By then I had my certifications as a health coach, and I had done a lot of study, which I had outlined anyway. The results were clear to me. My husband also went plant-based. Results were clear to him that this was the healthiest way to eat. I wrote my book, which freed me from a lifetime of secrets, and I put it all in my book about the eating disorder that had shackled me for over 50 years. And the very simple way that I recovered. Right now, I'm in a eating disorder certification program so I can help other people and be trained to help other people with eating disorders. I simply knew my own story, and so I didn't feel that was enough for me to put it out there after just outlining what worked for me. We're all individuals. I needed a broader scope, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'll get that certification in June of this year. And then I put out in my book my mission, and my mission is so clear to me that with what I believe will be the health that I'll garner from the pillars of lifestyle medicine, and that was a biggie in terms of evidence to me. The pillars of lifestyle medicine, those pillars of strength, holding the ceiling of what we believe to be the answer to lifelong health. And those pillars are movement. We must exercise. We must move our body. Nutrition, primarily or exclusively, if possible, whole food, plant-based. Whole food meaning exactly what it says. Mainly foods as close to nature as grown. And that is anathema to the way most people eat in America. Almost everything is fast food, processed foods. 80% of what we eat is processed. Things that aren't identifiable visually, but also by our gut. The microbiome that sends out those short-chain fatty acids to every organ in our body to help keep us healthy. So without those foods, it's harder for us to sustain long-term health. Well, I'm hoping for another 10, 20, 30 years of health to continue to promote my mission, and that is that with lifestyle modifications, lifestyle modalities that I outlined in my book and that we talk about in lifestyle medicine, I'll be able to continue to spend my time helping people see what's possible. That's my goal. That's my mission. So fast forward to now. I ran my race. Why? Because it made me feel good, and I've learned that I love to run. But you know what else? I'm also hoping that I can make a difference by inspiring people to see what's possible at any age. I don't know a lot of people in their 70s that take up a sport like running, fall in love with it, and want to do it faster and faster. My son said something. He's 44, smart kid, has a family, lives in Palos Verdes, on the peninsula in Southern California, jutting into the Pacific Ocean. And he said, "You know what, Mom?" When he heard of these things that I've been doing, he said, "You're aging backwards." He said, "You're aging backwards, and I'm afraid we're going to meet in our 50s. You will have aged backwards to 50, and I'll be 40 and feeling like I'm 50 or 60 or 70." It was very sweet of him. He is an omnivore, but he made our Christmas dinner 100% plant-based, and it was fabulous, and his family was happy with it, and I thought it was the sweetest thing he had ever done, because that's not really the way they eat, but the meal was delicious and so healthy. So what is all of this leading to? I want to propose, because this is the beginning of the year, and here I am at another birthday. I'm asking myself a new question, and I'd like to have you consider, propose that you consider not asking what you want to add or what you want to do, what you want to have, but instead, who do I want to be? I want to propose, and I'm asking myself this too, because in my video, when people were asking questions, because it was a Facebook Live video, and people were in the chat, somebody asked, "Are you going to have a cooking show?" And when I heard that question, I thought, how funny, because now I have a cooking show with over 110 videos, cooking videos in it. But at that time, I said, I don't know. I'm learning social media, maybe on Face or YouTube or something. I didn't even have a YouTube channel at that time. So I'm looking back at this year, or to then in this year, and I'm saying to myself, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be that I can look back at next year and say, from there to here, because I can do that now. I wasn't a person who ran. Now I'm a runner. I wasn't a person who had a cooking show. I have a cooking show. I wasn't a person who knew how to do social media. Now I have, oh, not a lot, not the thousands and millions that some have, but I have close to 500 in YouTube and Facebook and my group. And I am learning all the time. I am going to start this year with that very important question. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? If that's clear enough, because now I'm thinking I want to be someone who can walk a half or around a half marathon. I want to be a photographer. I have all kinds of new equipment. I want to be a photographer who can photograph food so beautifully and that's all part of my mission. Get people to see what's possible. Allow them to want it, to see how to do it, so that they can take advantage of some of these evidence-based, life-changing decisions that apparently are elusive. That's so clear to me, but elusive to others for a number of reasons. If I become a photographer and I photograph our beautiful plant-based food, and people realize if it looks that good and it is that good, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do it one meal a week, one meal a day, one day a week, a couple days a week, and maybe every meal every day. I do that, and I can't even imagine food tasting any better than it does. So I've gotten myself photographic equipment, and I didn't know an ISO from or a DSLR camera. I didn't know any of that until I started studying it, and now I'm working on that. I'm going to be somebody who learns more about making better, I'll call it product, in social media, so that more people hear the message and possibly are inspired by it. So I'm going to give you an assignment. I'm going to give you the assignment to possibly do the same thing. Take a piece of paper, write down a question, And that question is, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be this year? Who do I want to become? When you've made a decision like that, if you want to be a vigorous, athletic or not, creative, strong, capable physically person, the next easiest thing to do is to do something toward that. If I want to be a photographer and haven't gotten a camera, I even have a book on photography using a iPhone or Android. And then we have one on photography using the DSLR. And my husband had a marvelous one we bought when we went to Africa that he never used. And he said, here, this is yours. You got to have the equipment. You got to have the activity that strengthens those memory muscles or physical muscles or gets you in the movement to become that person that you want to be. There are certain things that you'll simply fall into doing. And then there are those adages we hear all the time. Make it easy. And Dan Buettner talks about that in his Blue Zones. He has a new book, The Blue Zone Challenge. And his most popular saying is, make the healthy choice the easy choice. Then reconfigure your environment. You may want to consider getting his book, because he helps people set themselves up in a 1-month period of time with an environment, making decisions about the environment, that the first thing you grab is the thing that is the best thing for you. The shoes at the door, rather than having to rifle through when you get up in the morning to find the shoes that would have taken you out the door immediately for your first walk or run in the morning. The lemon already sliced, so you can put it in your water in the morning so that you can start your morning with that alkalinity of lemon water. Surprisingly, it's not acidic, it's alkaline in your body. Becoming, knowing what you want to become makes everything you do start being more meaningful. I want to end it with that. Short and sweet. And that is, give yourself time, think about it. Who do you want to be? For yourself, for your mate, for your family, for the community, for your future. There's nothing like, and I'm telling you from my tiny bit of experience in these tiny little wins, there's nothing like looking back at a decision that changes who you are in some way, following through, reaching that place and saying, I'm now that person. I'll be darned. It's a pretty good feeling. All right, well, you have a great day. I know I'm going to. I hope what I've said has some meaning and resonates in some way. I would love to hear from you, even though you may read this or, hear this days later, weeks later, months later. I'd love to hear from you and hear, if it's not too personal, about who you want to become, but about how, in my case, you feel that I might be able to make a difference in my mission by doing certain things. I'm all ears. Bye-bye.